Let's start the recording. All right. Welcome, everyone. First live on YouTube. So, yeah, that's going to be the by default platform. As I was saying last time, my goal is to start publishing some clips pretty soon on that YouTube channel. Not some crazy edit as I was doing before. It was taking way too much time. But some clips from the mentorship where every time there is a great value, a great insight, something good we talk about, sharing that. I just want to make sure to not dox anyone, so I need to blur the faces of everyone. So it's going to need a bit of edit, but I want to share some clips on that YouTube channel and centralize all the streams right there. As I was saying, there is no replay. So that video, once it's done, it's done. The goal is to spill the beans with a lot of things from the mentorship. For example, that one today is directly one of the first video that the mentees get, the difference between Artstation, production, and portfolio material. We're going to talk about that today. And yeah, this way you get value, but it does not squander the investment of those who join the mentorship. So it's an opportunity to get value. And at some point, if there is maybe a bit of demand, I will see to release a few of those replay later, but God knows when it will happen. All right. So as always, I want that stream to be centered around education. I want it to be interactive. So I have the chat just in front of me. So feel free to write your things. If at some point I miss your question, write it somewhere and re-ask it a bit later towards the end of the session if I did not catch your question. And yeah, I want to be interactive with you. I'm going to ask you some questions. I will let you answer and such. And that's how it's going to go. So last thing before we start, I apologize in advance if you hear some sound. There's a massive construction site that just started yesterday in front of the building. And there's some construction inside the building. So if you hear some sound at some point, I apologize in advance. Let's fucking go. So last week we talked about the Rookies winner. We studied a lot of good portfolios from great aspiring artists who got hired. We explained deeply why these were interesting, what was the difference between that and what you commonly see on Artstation. Why would they get hired? We talked about the objections that the reviewer might have when looking at your work and such. Today is a direct continuation of that. Today, we are directly talking about the difference between Artstation work, production work, and portfolio material. It's kind of funny because when you look at Feng Zhu on YouTube, he made a video recently, episode 111, What is Entertainment Design? And he talked a bit about that. And recently, this morning, I discovered Tyler Edlin was talking also about that in that video, Don't Trust Artstation. I just watched it during lunch. And I hear a lot of things that I've been repeating and that Feng Zhu has been repeating too. So it seems that the message is spreading finally. So that's good. So if you have not watched it, Portfolio Talk, the truth about Artstation, it's a very good summary. And I see that stream as if we were to expand on that. I'm going to explain the why, the how a bit more in depth because he only has 19 minutes. We're going to have almost 2 hours, so it's going to be a bit better. And even on the Walsh, I've been very surprised on the Discord yesterday to see that in that video he is mentioning my LinkedIn and the pages of Feng Zhu. Sorry for the ads. Here we go, but at some point towards 20 minutes, if I recall correctly. Where is it? I don't really remember where it is, but at some point he talks about what we have been doing at the Art Nest. Here we go. Yours truly, right there. So thank you so much, Andy, if you're watching that stream. I got in touch with him and we got some interesting discussion, and I would love to get Andy to do potentially a podcast together at some point. I did not ask him yet, but it will be great. There's no ad block on that browser, unfortunately. It's not, or at least it's not working great on YouTube. On my Chrome, yeah, there is an ad block. But whatever, we are not on YouTube. We are going to go on Artstation. And let me start a bit with an introduction. For those we have not seen yet, the video from Tyler or my work, the mentees, you know already what we are going to talk about. We talked about that a bit. But I want to explain what I think is the reason why 99% of aspiring artists are unable to make a good portfolio and unable to get anything else than an automatic negative answer. And I'm not going with those numbers randomly. I've asked several companies about how the hiring process went. For example, I asked Mood Visuals some times ago when I was preparing the Kind of Art event with them. And they were explaining, let me remove my camera, by the way. We don't really need that one. It's taking some space for nothing. So yeah, I was talking to Mood Visuals, for example. I just asked them, hey, how did your latest hiring for someone in your company went for a concept artist? And I think I asked the question last time, but they got 150 applications in 2 days. Guess how many they got for an interview? Tell me. According to you, 150 applicants, how many got to the first interview stage? Write it in the comment. I'm curious to see your answers. We have a bit of a delay, unfortunately. 0, 2, 3, 0, single digits, 2, 5, 10, 0, 1, 20. And 150 applicants for a junior job, 0 interview. Instead, they went to contact back someone who did an internship with them. They trained him, they hired him. And to me, this shows a big and blatant problem that there is in the industry. I'm glad to know Feng Zhu talked about. He's been leading the charge about that, as always. Then Tyler and myself, we talked about that. It's the fact that it's not due to a lack of technique. On the contrary, technique is becoming more and more accessible. You just look at the front page of Artstation right now. It's totally fine. And actually, let me open up a Chrome tab. This way, it's empty. Normally, here we go. I'm not connected, so it's not going to be biased towards what I like to consume and what I subscribe to. But yeah, there is a massive discrepancy and misinterpretation of what concept art is. People naturally look at Artstation and they think it's the norm. They think this is concept art. This is what needs to be done to get hired. This is what you need to produce to get a job. Because those artists, they are working. So if I do the same, I should be working. This guy is working at Star Wars. So if I do something similar, I can work on Star Wars too. That's kind of the fallacy that a lot of people fall into. And I'm caricaturing it a lot. It's not to be disrespectful. Again, it's just to emphasize the irony of the thing. The problem is Artstation, as I always say to the mentees, it's the Instagram of art. And let's say you create a brand new account on Instagram, what you will see on your feed, the body shapes you're going to see, the lifestyle you're going to see, and you all know what I'm talking about, it's not the norm, and it's clearly not what is recommended for most people. To have a healthy, balanced life, most of the time it's fake. It's not at all what is recommended or the norm. And for Artstation, it's exactly the same. It's not the norm. It's not what is recommended to get a job or for the industry. the algorithm of Artstation, everyone is complaining about that imaginary algorithm all the time. The principle of an algorithm is not to show production-friendly stuff. It's just to get the users to spend as much time as possible on the platform. In other terms, it means that what you see on the front page of Artstation, what is recommended as front page material, is not what the industry need. It's not what is recommended to get a job. It's just what we, the users, tend to like to consume and spend time on. This is why some art blasts are better on Artstation. Exactly. That's because Artstation, and Tyler Edlin explained that way better than I will be able to do it. Tyler explained that Artstation prioritize art blast now. Every time you see a big art blast, boom, you have Destiny 10th anniversary, you have Wayfinder right now, you have Concord art blast at the moment, and everyone is criticizing the concept art of Concord. Look at that, this is insane. This is a wonderful art surface. So yeah, you see art blast all the time. We probably got some Wukong stuff. We got some Conan right there. Whatever. A few times ago it was Last of Us, then Cyberpunk, then whatever. Oh, look at who we have in the front page of Artstation. Luca, are you there? Luca is a mentee. Front page material. Here we go. And this is a bit of an anomaly in the algorithm because normally this kind of stuff, you don't see it on the front page. You see the fancy keyframes like that. So yeah, it's just what we like to consume. And it creates that fallacy. When you're not in the job yet, when you're not in the industry, you don't really realize that this is not production-friendly material or even portfolio-friendly material. So unfortunately, a lot of artists tend to think that all of that, they need to do the same to get a job. Oh my God, if I'm doing this, I'm going to get a job. And again, I want to issue a big disclaimer. I hope it will never be taken out of context for that video. That's why I don't want to leave a replay. I have nothing personal against every picture I'm going to pick. I'm going to completely disregard who it is. Most of them I will probably not even know who they are. There's nothing personal. And if they are working in the industry, there's a reason for that. What I'm looking at right now is just content in terms of portfolio readiness. Okay? I mean, no disrespect. If I say that something like that is not portfolio material, whatever it is, this is not to downplay the quality of the art, not even to judge it. It's just on a portfolio standpoint, okay? So, with that said, the problem, as Feng Zhu described in his video 111, is that concept art, or at least the perception of concept art, morphed from solving problems, doing the video game equivalent of product design and industrial design. It has morphed to a display of flashy pictures, skills, 3D gimmicks, and following trends. And for all of you there, I want to do something very simple. I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar with the law of supply and demand. I think we talked about that last week. But TLDR about the law of supply and demand, if something is in high supply and low demand, it means that it has low value. If something is in low supply and high demand, it means it's rare, and it means it has a lot of value. And the problem that we got with Artstation is that all the work there started to standardize with each other. How many times have you seen, I don't know, something like this? Again, Lockdo. Massive respect to that person, but an artwork like this. We have seen this kind of stuff 50,000 times. Your regular Last of Us 2 keyframe inspired thing that I'm bashing all the time, that's because we saw it 50,000 times too on Artstation. Everyone saw a post-apocalyptic thing, something exactly like this, no disrespect to the person. Something like this with a random dude walking towards something gigantic in the background. Everything is covered in dirt or overgrown, or if you're creative, a bit of snow. And apparently this is story. Again, no disrespect. I'm looking at it on a portfolio point of view, okay? And the problem is that if you have seen that 50,000 times, it commoditizes the content of that picture. It's a commodity, and if it's a commodity, it has no value. It can be replaced with the snap of a finger. So how can you possibly stand out if your artwork looks like other artwork that we have seen 50,000 fucking times? There is no way you can stand out positively. So it means that you are shooting yourself in the foot with the whole magazine because you are just fighting against a massive competition. And worse than that, because most people are doing just the flashy pictures like this, they don't realize that this market for those flashy pictures, it's probably less than 5% of the whole industry need. It's either two things. It's either marketing art, in that case, this is not concept art, this is illustration, or else this is super early blue sky development. By blue sky development, I mean the pre-production, when the production has not started, and you just get a bunch of artists to produce a few keyframes like this to pitch every area and how the game or the project will look to the investors. As soon as the project is greenlit and financed, you barely do any of these anymore. To me, this is like the definition of quote-unquote keyframe. I don't like to use that term, but sometimes some people are using keyframes for other things. Something like this, when you have to me, a keyframe needs to be what the player or the spectator will see with a correct camera that is what the player or the character will see. This, to me, is keyframe material because the camera is roughly where it will be on a third-person game. This is what the player is supposed to see. And don't get me wrong, it has a use case in production and we're going to see what. But if you have only that in a portfolio, you're covering like 10% of what will be required on a daily basis at work. I hope I'm not ruffling too many feathers right now. When you look at things like this, let's say this one, it's a bit higher. It's meant to reveal the environment. To me, this is not that much keyframe. This is more layout to show how the environment looks. This is already very different. But again, if you just have that, it's not good. So I hope it's starting to make sense. The problem is that everyone thinks that this kind of pictures is the norm. We saw that yesterday in the mentorship. That's funny as a case study. Everyone thinks it's the norm, while it's 10% of what the market requires. It's less than 10% of what the production needs. And guess what? Only a handful of artists are doing that full time. You know them, the On Pixel Brush, Terraform Studio, Character. Character is doing a bit of production material. We're going to see that. OPB is starting to do keyframe, and guess what? They're starting to do VizDev and previs for movies because they know that the keyframe market is shrinking. And eventually, it's going to be very small. It's not going to be disappear. We are always going to need that. But as Feng Zhu said, AI can do this already very well, and this is not where you're going to have the most value in your work. Good? I hope I'm not pissing off everyone. And again, those pictures are beautiful, but in a portfolio, if you have only that, you're not covering everything. So let's talk about the differences. Let's start with production work. And again, I'm focusing mainly on concept art, okay? Production work, it's simple. This is anything that is required for the production to unfold properly. So this means concept art pieces with all the information required to model things, like call-out sheets, props, layouts, variation, a lot of design choices, everything being functional and readable. And then that production artworks, concept art, the 3D modeler use them as references to model the thing. This is an excellent example of production work because it gives the 3D modeler everything they need to model that scene. Then you will need to add some props and such. We're going to see some example. And let's be clear, for concept art, we might see a few of them on Artstation, but we never see the full process. Why? Because it tends to start with very simple sketches like this before moving on to something more and more and more polished eventually until you settle on the final design. Sounds good? There are two reasons they are not showing that. What you see on Artstation when it's stamped with when it is stamped, let's pick Sung Choi. Okay, Sung Choi, concept art. This is early dev, okay? He probably made some sketches before, some iteration to come up to the final design. We never see that because generally the sketches are not that polished. And companies, they are very afraid about that. First of all, they are very afraid to reveal their pipeline. Second of all, companies are very sensitive to investors, as you know, especially right now with all the debacles we have surrounding investors. And there is a problem, is that investors, they are boomers, they are not artists, they don't give a shit about video games and art, they are just finance type of people. So if they see a sketch, maybe pick the work of Luca. I pick the work of Luca. Let's imagine they see that. Only that. Or this one. They don't have the context around it. They don't know it's very early development. It's meant to be fast. It's not meant to be super polished. It's already very well presented. And they might be thinking, damn, is that all that the artists are able to do? We're not going to invest in them. While if they see only the flashy stuff, they're like, damn, the artists are very good. We're going to throw money at them. That's how investors think, okay? So that's why on Artstation, they rarely show the full process. And again, a lot of aspiring artists think that you can start that picture and end up with that in one shot. No, there's been maybe weeks of work on that picture. The rendering maybe took only a day or two. Doing that final picture maybe took a day or two. Don't get me wrong. But the full design, the research, the iterations, searching for references, discussing with the client, and doing all the finicky process needed to eventually have the green light to start that picture probably took weeks. And sometimes, as you say, Trojan horse, NDAs. Most of the work, 99% of production work is buried under NDA forever. So it's almost impossible for people outside of the industry or without doing proper research or who forgot to listen to Feng Zhu, because Feng Zhu has been talking about that for 13 years now. It's impossible to figure that out. You might assume, okay, this is great concept art right there because it shows how things work. And to understand the viability of something in a portfolio, there is one question. Oh, it's going into Artbook and you can't show it. Yeah. There are many ways, of course. One question you need to ask yourself, I think we talked about that too in last week, but this week is going to really make sense. When you have a picture, let's assume that picture alone, or this one. Let's isolate that picture. Fuck you, Artstation. Every time I want to zoom on something, boom, get the pro, motherfucker. No. So let's isolate that picture. Imagine in your portfolio, you just have that picture. You don't have any call-out sheet for the building. You don't have the characters. You don't have the turnaround for the characters, for that robot and such. You just have this. And you say it's concept art. Always ask yourself that question. If I was to send it to the 3D team, I'm not around. They don't have me. Do they have all the information that they need to model it without banging their head and destroying the keyboard? Right now, they don't know how that building looks from the other side. They don't know the inside of that building. They don't know barely the face of any characters. They just have one angle and they don't know the buildings look behind. So there is no way they can model that. Some people might argue, hey, Jude, I did it in 3D. I can send the 3D scene. Yes, except that, okay, this person works at Naughty Dog, so kind of similar to One Pixel Brush. I imagine this person is having a 4090, if not 2, needs 24 gigs of VRAM to render the scene, and in a game, you need it to be packed on 2 gigs of VRAM. In other words, even if you send your scene to the 3D team, they will need to model everything from scratch. And as a concept artist, your work is rarely optimized. It's millions of polygons, the textures are 8K and are super heavy. You need crazy expensive graphics card to do it. Okay, it can be used as a model, but whatever. And if you kit bash, which is another very bad habit, I think I don't really need to elaborate on why kit bash is the death of creativity. It's like Legos for concept artists. I will do a tangent about kit bash at some point, several times today, probably. But if you kit bash some stuff, copyrights, you cannot use that in production. So, yeah. I want to get back to Tyler Edlin. There was a comment that was interesting in one of his videos. This is a comment I saw. Here we go. This comment. I have been in the industry for about 10 years now, and the amount of younger artists coming into the industry that do only aspirational blue sky pitch cityscape / splash art is rising. Those are the flashy pictures we are talking about. I work with someone who was hired on a senior job, and all they do is Blender photo bash white shot landscapes. We work on a top-down game. Upper management loves them because they don't understand the pipeline, and it looks good on their quarterly presentation slides. They are basically being paid to draw whatever, no problem solving. 3D department cannot use 90% of their stuff. Hell, we can't use any of their stuff. It's bleak. That comment, give a cookie to that man. Artstation has really damaged my mental health as an artist. After years of study, I realized I'm well beyond the entry-level requirement for the industry. Even after that realization, I still feel that imposter syndrome daily. That's also one of the bad things of Artstation. We're not going to talk too much about that. But personally, that's something I say to the mentees. I do not look on Artstation anymore because it makes me feel like shit. But this comment, this summarizes everything I want to explain. In production, you are doing it for the 3D department. And it's not really 3D designer. It's just that a lot of people using 3D use it to kit bash shit. And I'm not saying it's the case right there because it's Naughty Dog. They probably model everything from scratch. If you model everything, or if you have some modelers doing it for you, that's good. You pick at outsourcing studios like Terraform Studio, you pick Character, you pick Mood Visuals, you have Fengzu Studio. That's what he was explaining in his video 112. They have dedicated 3D modelers to make the kit bash asset for the concept artist. But you will never see a set of Jamas Night or a big, medium, small pack in one of those artwork for production. You will never see these in a production because it's so overly used by everyone, it's becoming generic. Those things, these are Legos for artists. This is to have fun. This is to experiment. But you put that in a portfolio, what does it say? Okay, you have that wonderful kit about Egypt. Cool. You put that thing, it's beautiful. You put it in a portfolio, what does it say? You didn't make it. Congrats, you just imported it from Cargo and you drag and dropped it in your work. It's not the job, it's just to have fun. The licenses for enterprise. See? You need to send in them, and it's not even for commercial use. You go 100 plus employees. You're going to pay a fortune the licensing to use something like that in movie. They don't use rock trees from Quixel as basis for environment art sometimes. Yes, that's what I want you to say, Trojan Horse. The mundane element, the super tertiary stuff. Like, nobody's expecting you to model a rock unless it has a crazy shape. Nobody's expecting you to model an ash tree. It's basic, it's realistic. Same with the grass leaves and such. The tertiary, non-essential elements that are just to populate the scene, sure, kit bash them. You don't have to create a grass blade. It's a fuck ton of work. But anything that is primary or secondary in your picture, this is not kit bashed. Probably one of the texture of the rust is from whatever website. This is not kit bashed. This is modeled from scratch. This is good. All of that, none of that is kit bashed, I guess. If there was a 3D base behind, of course. So if it's primary or secondary element, you don't kit bash it. If it's super tertiary, like a rock, trees, or whatever, it's not very important. Sure, use the mega scan and things like that. That rock, nobody gives a shit. That basket, nobody gives a shit. But that house, design it by yourself. It's as simple as that. Does that make sense, folks? This was a small tangent. So we talked about production work, anything to help the 3D team. So in conclusion, when you see on Artstation a project with a logo stamped on it, unfortunately, it's only the sexy stuff. It's only the super curated, sexy concept art. It's not the super early iterations. We see it sometimes, but very rarely. It's extremely rare when we see that. All good? Let's move to Artstation front page material. I'm going to nuke that, okay? But it's for the good of everyone. Nothing personal against it. I'm just looking at it from a job acquisition perspective. This is not production work. Something like this. Freelance senior concept artist. So this person is working, don't get me wrong. But this alone, personal artwork inspired by Star Wars and Jamie Jones. This is almost fan art, okay? No disrespect to that, okay? This is not production material. Again, you ask yourself that question, can the 3D team use that? Based off just those pictures alone? Let's say you are a freelancer, you are not likely to send the 3D scene and be around when the modelers get that several months after you are done with the task. With just those pictures alone, can they model the full building? No, they don't even see it entirely. Always ask yourself that question, even with your work. With the information you provide, can the modelers do their job and model that full character? That full character, do we know how it looks from the back? No. Now, let's get back to Luca, for example. And this is also the problem with those pictures. It's like single pictures. It's not a package. You need to see concept art as working with packages of information. This is a full package. This is what in the mentorship we call it a portfolio chapter. This means it covers everything you need to model one element, one area, one something important. And because it's portfolio, we're going to see that. It also shows your design process and it documents where you started from and where you landed eventually. Can you model the whole thing? First, you have a 3D scene that has been entirely done by hand. No kit bash. It's going to help massively as a base. That's good. 3D is not bad. If you model everything, you send it for sure. There's no copyright problems. You see it from one angle, two angles, three angles. You have all the information you need about every materials, and you assume for that back view, yeah, he has modeled it. So we can see it right there, actually. So we have everything we need. So can the 3D team, with that picture alone, model the thing? No. But with that picture, plus that picture, plus that picture, plus all the props, plus that one, and the 3D scene, now you can model things. And they can do their job. And guess what? We go even deeper than that, because now we are doing that for art directors. This is going to be portfolio material right there. But this is what you will do before going to that. When you start the design process, you start from those sketches, or those. This will be like the first step. Then the second step to refine it, we pick one, and then we go there. And then once this is validated, we do all the technical drawing, and we do that. Sounds good? Look at that elevator. Again, it's safe to assume we have the 3D base for it. We are okay with the materials. It explains how it looks, but more importantly, it explains how it works. All the attachments, all the variations, so it's attached to the cable, so it opens, or it moves on that rail. What is inside? Now you have the full, almost omniscient view about that thing. And sure, you would never be able to give 100% of the informations. But right there, this is enough, okay? 3D modelers, their job is to interpret things and we need to trust them. That's their job. But right there, you give them everything they need so they don't doubt. They have a separate callout for the chair. The pattern is safe. You can remove that and they can assume the pattern. There's nothing that is crucial that is missing. Is it okay to sketch in 3D? Yeah, I have nothing against 3D, don't get me wrong. We have plenty of mentees doing 3D. Lucas is a massive 3D guy. We got Stefan Thoma recently. Stefan Thoma worked at Afina Production. He's super heavy 3D. But still, look at that. You have the 3D. You have everything you need to model it properly. Variations, silhouette. You have everything you need. That project is insane, by the way. He modeled everything. No kit bash. Look at that. There's a fuck ton of work. Explaining how that whole place looks from any angle, every room with the lighting. You have the call-out sheets right there. Amazing work, by the way. More call-outs. More call-outs. Call-outs. Call-outs and variations. Call-outs and variations. To prove we can design. This is back to what we were saying last week about all the criterias that the studio have. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? Okay, now can you do this? Can you do iterations? Yes. Can you do call-out sheets? Yes. Can you do props? Yes. Can you iterate on furnitures? Yes. Can you do 3D? Yes. Can you do some scenes with life in it? Yes. Can you do different angles? Yes. Can you do layout? Yes. Can you do keyframes? Yes. Okay, I don't have anything else to ask. So good. Let's move the candidate to an interview. You see what I mean? It's just about ticking those boxes. If you just do this, again, that question, can you design? I don't know. I don't have anything else. Again, if you just isolate that picture. Let's say you just have this, you don't have call-out sheet and that. Can you design? I don't know. Can you draw? I don't know. Can you paint? I don't know. Can you do iterations? I don't know. You impose a final thing? I don't know. Can you problem solve things? I don't know. Can you think about interior design? I don't know. And a confused mind will always say no. Does that make sense? So that's the problem. Artstation front page material, it does not provide enough information for the 3D team. It does not show, because it is generally only final picture, it does not show you can understand the full design process. I'm going to show you examples of that. It doesn't show, but sometimes it doesn't show all your fundamentals. It doesn't show your design abilities and your problem-solving skills. It just shows your rendering and your ability to provide final pictures. It's as if I'm very bad at live metaphors, but I'm going to attempt one. Imagine the keyframe like this, or the final render as the fancy picture on a box of Legos, showing you how it looks with beautiful dioramas and things like that, or the polished pictures on the box of a Warhammer box, a Warhammer miniature box. The call-out sheets and the iterations. I think the Warhammer box allegory is great because the variations that you have, it's all the different bits of miniatures that you can assemble to your miniatures. The call-out sheets is the manual to assemble them. And this is the beautiful picture on top of the box. If you don't have the beautiful picture on top of the box, but you have the bits and you have the manual, you can still come up to that result. If you just have this and you either like the manual or the bits, how can you possibly get to that result? It's exactly the same for 3D. I hope my metaphor makes sense. I'm not the best at metaphors. And Artstation work, because it's a truncated dat, it's just showing the fancy box. It's showing the fancy miniature once painted, but not all the work that has been done before. And that's the problem. The not so sexy part is required in production. It's just that on Artstation we tend to not show it because we want to show only the success and the beautiful stuff. This leads us to a quick transition. Again, every time you see someone's portfolio, someone from LinkedIn that is very angry, saying, oh my God, I cannot find a job, I sent 200 applications and such, look at their work and ask yourself, if this portfolio was given to the 3D team, can they model shit? And in 99% of the cases, the answer is no. Once we filter aside the technique and all of that, of course. Let's say you have good enough technique and the person doesn't get a job. 99% of the case, if not 100%, it's because the work is not production friendly. Sounds good? Now, as we said, the Artstation algorithm is not industry driven. It's just there to spend as much time as possible on it. Let's move to portfolio material. People might assume that portfolio content is literally the same as production work. It's not. As we said, the final result makes up for most of the production work being shared online, on Artstation and such, in Art Blast and such. But the process is often missing or not documented entirely when shared online. Portfolio material needs to be treated as an exercise that mimics production work on the surface level. So it will be similar to production work, exactly as we do right there. However, you don't have to do a full production cycle in your portfolio. Instead, you need to show you understand what is needed in a production pipeline and for design. To do that, you need to show work matching every step of the process, the design process, and documenting it from the initial design phase and up to the final polished picture. And more importantly, you need to allow the reviewer to dive into your mind and thought process. You are a designer. As soon as you have showed one or two fancy pictures, they know you can render. And the next question is, how do you design? Tell me about your design process. I want to dive into your brain. I want to understand how you think. I want to understand how you solve problems, because that's going to be your job 99% of the time in a company. So it's all about showing that to the reviewer. They see your original intentions about your subject and how you translated it visually without losing anything in the process. So from the start, your initial intentions, to the very end. Good for you? It's all about showing you are able to do professional work by emulating the process in a more condensed way. And something I say to the mentees all the time is you need to see that as if you were doing a making of in the shape of a portfolio. A making of about some of your design in the shape of a portfolio. While your technical skill needs to be displayed, this is by far the easiest and fastest thing to gauge when looking at your work. Only an artwork on two is enough to do that. But once this is done, the company's attention will shift towards your design process and abilities to see if they are similar to theirs. And that's why you need to make sure to tick every box they have. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do layout? Can you do props? Can you do variations? Can you do reference? Etc. And as Domi is saying, yeah, show your references, show some notes, so show some intentions. They really like it. They don't give a shit about your technique. In one picture, you can figure that out. But as soon as it's done, they want to take time to understand your design. Sounds good? All right. Next, let me just do something very fast. Here we go. Here we go. Am I clear on everything right now? Okay, with that very long introduction, let's move to analyzing that. So, portfolio material, what do you need to show? Let me show something that I shared to my mentees. In the introduction of the mentorship, I made a new chapter to explain the full design process. And I explained that with some examples. Obsidian is bad with photos, so it's taking a bit of time to load all the time. But the way I show the design process in a portfolio is a different step. Broad design exploration, you start very wide and you refine it, go to specific design. Eventually, you settle on that main design. And once you have settled on that design, that's where you do the final render, the call-out sheet, the props, gear, furniture, and all the extras, okay? So let's have some examples. Let me just grab it. Give me a sec. So let's pick some examples, and those are old. Those are starting to be a bit old. Let's pick our boy Michael. I think a lot of people have already seen that artwork. Fantastic work by Michael on Moby Dick. Let's see how he started doing them. We started by some what I call the broad design exploration phase, which is where you are going to sketch and you are going to try to be as broad as possible. It was not very broad. It was already fixating on the same silhouette. There was a bit more, but we easily settled on that one. This is where you want to be as broad as possible and have drastically different proposals. Then, once we settle on that silhouette, very big frame and such, very square-like, big legs, that's why you do specific design. So you are going to push that design further and try to explore different directions. Right there, you are working on the big and the medium in some way. Right there, you are keeping the same big silhouette, but you're working more on the medium and the small. We need to make a live about big, medium, small eventually. The way I see the big, medium, small is big equals what it is. Yeah, what it is on the surface level. Medium equals the function, how does it work? And small equals storytelling, what is specific about that design? Okay, right there, big and medium. What it is, how does it work? This one, how does it work? And what is specific about it? You have a Monster Hunter one, you have a Lovecraft cultist, an Orca element, Lovecraftian pirate, Pirate King, things like that. We explore an old fisher, we explore some stuff. Eventually, we settled on the main design, right there. That captain with this kind of parasitic seashells on him, that pulley instead of an arm, that wooden peg leg in the shape of a shark or a whale. We are agreeing, and we felt the one in the white is the best because it looks very old and like a veteran. And then, once that design is approved, it is exactly the same in production. Now you can polish as much as you want from it. You need to do three things. You need to do the polish render. This is the polish render. This could be a potential keyframe, quote unquote keyframe at the very end. You do it towards the end. That's right there, the small illustration splash arty type of thing. You need to make a League of Legends splash art, leave that to the seniors. But overall, you do the call out sheet. For environment, it will be a layout, like in perspective, seen from above. I'm going to show you other example for environment. For characters, this is a turnaround, front view, back view, accessorily, and ideally in at least one of your chapter of your portfolio, show also a side view. Right there, with that, the 3D team know how to model and texture the character. Now, props and gear. How does that pulley that is extremely complex works? More props that he can have on him. And then some bonus. A small splash art, or splash art-ish type of illustration, and some expression for the animators. Could be dynamic poses, it could be 2D VFX, it depends. But right there, we pretty much have everything we need in production. So this is those 4 pages right there. These are the production-friendly stuff. Before, you were documenting your design process. Make sense? And finally, you are adding value. And it gets back to what we were saying before, last week, the 3 things you need to prove in your portfolio. Can you fit the needs of the production? This is this right there. Then the second question, can you design and iterate? This is this, where you document your design process. And the last thing, again, can you design your technique? To me, this is what I call a value adder in a portfolio. This is an extra that you do in the same thing. In that case, this is the crew. Okay, technically, you will have to do the back view. But because just before you proved you know how to do it, there is no need to prove it for every character. They know you can do it once. The box is ticked. Does that make sense, folks? Now for environment. Exactly the same. We start with some sketches. Let me pick the one of Brian. It's going to be a bit easier to understand. We have a few layouts for a room, some iterations, and some for statues he did in parallel. We picked that one and we refined it a bit. You see, it was that room before. Then we refined it. We made it in 3D. This is an extra step generally for environment. We polished the props in parallel. Eventually, we arrived to this. And once you are good with that, call out sheet for the 3D team. This way they know how to model it. They have everything they need. And then the props. And then at the very end, I didn't add it right there, but Brian also has a keyframe when someone enters that there. Seen from the bar when someone enters. Is it making sense? You prove you can design, and you prove you are production friendly. And you prove you can iterate. Same for a boat. We start very broad. We refine it, more declination. The layout for the boat, outside and inside. Tons of accessories, tons of variation for the figurehead. We have pretty much everything we need. Same for that cart. And once you have proven you can iterate several times, right there, you don't need to do it 50,000 times. Of course, you will have to do it, but you don't have to show it. You need your portfolio to be fast to read. If it's becoming formulaic, every time there is 5 pages, the first one is iteration and blah, 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 it's going to be boring. At some point, they know you can iterate. You have ticked the box several times, so you can be a bit faster. That card is fantastic. And again, value adder, a bit of storytelling all the time, just to prove you can over-deliver all the time. Make sense? Everyone is dead. Oh, Trojan horse. Oh, this is Alex. Okay. Okay. What point do you think we should start with color in design? It's going to depend based on the art director. The way I do it with the mentees is that the broad design, we tend to do it in black and white. And when we do the phase 2, which is specific design to main, we tend to start coloring. But with simple colors like this. Chloe is very efficient. You see right there, it's enough to sell on the personality of the character and the gameplay, which is what we want. Then we refine it a bit. We don't really need the material. Right now, we are still talking with the art director, not the 3D team. And then we move to a more polished thing. That one is not finished, but let's pick this one. You see initial design, a bit of color. We settle on that one. We're going to do the turnaround, the props, some dynamic poses and such. And then final render, the back view, because there's no sensitive elements, we don't really have to render because we have the information about the rendering on the front view. There was an exclusive element that is unique in the back that we need to render differently. We will detail it, but rather it's not necessary. Face turnaround, this one is not finished yet. It's an old document. It's been made like 2 months ago. And then some props right there. Chloe wanted to make some food. It's funny, it's silly, and it shows you are having fun. And that's something very important too. You need to show you are having fun, folks. Why so serious all the time? Why projects that are always dark? Do some silly stuff. All of these, they are making you laugh. Like the fish ate the cockatrice. This is a beholder stew. This is a cat bread. This is funny. You want them to react, to feel something. This is an added value. We're going to talk about storytelling in a further week. But to me, that notion of value adder, it's to show you can over-deliver and also that you can spark an emotional reaction. Storytelling is so freaking important in a portfolio. Same when you are doing props. When you are doing props, instead of doing just one small altar, make a diorama around it. Tell a story. This way, instead of designing one object, you are designing 50 of them. And someone in the 3D team is going to have to do those dioramas. Why not giving them already what they need to do? For creator, the first process is usually better to do side views after the first design sketches. Yeah. And again, I'm not telling you this is the absolute way to do it, but in whatever order you do for the sketches, eventually this is roughly how it should look. A mistake I see in a lot of aspiring artists' portfolio, including some who apply to the mentorship, is that you can sense that they did the splash art and then they try to fake the process. Do not ever do that in a portfolio. How do you start conceptualizing if you have aphantasia or similar to that? That's an insanely good question. I could spend 2 hours on that alone. I will make it the subject of a further stream because it will require at least an hour to explain. But yeah, relying on references and brainstorming. This is something I say to the students all the time. It's before designing. Let me show you. I made a full set of videos about the design process right there. And my initial postulate is that if you don't know where to go, you will end up nowhere and exhaust yourself. This is valid for design. The first step before drawing, that's something I do with all the mentees, is when they have a new subject for their portfolio, they are forbidden to draw for the first few days. All they need to do is brainstorm. So they pick the keyword, they will extract the main keyword, and they will try as best as they can to solve the design on paper with keywords and logic. There will be elements and themes, and then eventually how do you translate them visually? I will make a full stream about that. This is probably the next one I'm going to do. Then, once they are done brainstorming, they should have some clear lists, grocery list of different designs that are drastically different, yet fit the theme. Then the second step is gathering references. And everything you should design should be based upon real life references. I'm not telling you to copy them, but I don't want anyone to guesswork and to imagine something in a vacuum. It needs to always be based upon reality, at least for juniors and medium, because it's already super hard to do. So if you have aphantasia, the best way is to gather references and mix them properly. That's going to be the best solution you have. I don't want to let you down on that one, but because it's taking a lot of time, let me check my notes. I'm pretty sure I had my list. I will implement it somewhere, probably next week. You know what? Okay, design process. Mark your calendar. Next week, we are talking about design process and brainstorming, which is solving the design on paper before you draw. This is super important because if you do that, you can spend 100% of your energy on your design. Then you don't have to think about it. You can focus 100% of your energy on the drawing, rendering, and such. If you focus on design plus drawing plus rendering plus perspective plus anatomy plus colors plus lighting plus everything at the same time, it's like a computer with 17 tasks running in parallel. The computer crashes. Your brain is a very, very super duper old computer that can process only one or two things at the same time, and I tend to like monotasking. Spending 100% of your energy on one thing, it saves that energy that is spent on it, comes back to you and you can spend it elsewhere after. So yeah, Milim, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and whatever the YouTubers are saying all the time. Join the Discord if it's not done yet. There should be the link down below, by the way. And we will talk about exactly that next week. Everyone, you can thank Milim for the suggestion. Thank you. And as always on the Discord, by the way, you can suggest live stream because I'm very bad with coming up with ideas of stream. I can talk about plenty of stuff. It's just that I need to fall in love with one idea, and I'm very eager to know what you want to know. All right. I guess it's starting to make sense. Let me get back to that thing. Oh no, it needs to load again. I think we were done with that. Similar with Alex right there. Alex, so Trojan horse in the chat. It's a weird example because she is able to deal with a fuck ton of things in parallel. So not everyone is going to be able to do that. But she was working on the exterior, the props, and the interior at the same time, which is absolutely nuts. But eventually in a portfolio, you will compile all of those together. That's a lot of pages right there. This covers the design process, initial intentions, more specific and precise design. And eventually, when you are settled on everything, for the outside, this is this, call out sheet for the outside. Props is, here we go, a beautiful illustration or keyframe, call it however you want, showing a lot of life inside the temple during a Dionysus party. A call-out sheet and a layout for the inside, different times of the day, different types of framing to show how the ceremony is happening at different moments, and at the very end, that picture. Sounds good? Does that make sense, folks? This is portfolio material. Do you understand? I really want to make sure that you understand how this is different from production work shared on Artstation. On Artstation, at best, you will start sharing right there. So you will share what is used for production, but you will not document your design process before. And for a portfolio, this is the extra step that you need to do. If you just show that, you are in trouble because they know you can render. The Triforce of the question, can you, in that order, can you fit what production needs? Second question, can you design and iterate? And final question, which is the less important because it's the easiest to answer, is your technique good enough? This one, the only thing you tick is, yeah, my technique is good enough. That's the least important. Right there, yeah, this person understands production. And oh, this is our design process. Fantastic. Yeah, this is aimed at something like AC Odyssey, for sure, anything historical. Even Age of Empire or anything slightly historical is perfect. Sounds good? Let me grab, let me open a new tab. Let me open up the portfolio of Alex. If anyone is a recruiter looking at that stream, hire Alex, please. But look at the portfolio of Alex. Starting immediately with a call-out sheet. References, different angles. So immediately what people think is, oh my God, finally someone not starting with a keyframe, not a keyframe artist, but someone who really understands what is production and what is required in it. Then keyframe, oh, okay, she knows how to do keyframe and render. I'm trying to pick up the brain of a reviewer right now and express the sentiment when watching that. Okay, she gets it about production. Fantastic. Top 1% of applicant already because most people will start with this. And when you start with this, you're like, oh shit, another one. Another one. At least it's not a Last of Us 2 keyframe. Let's give a shot at the next thing. Maybe you have a chance. But sometimes our director, they open, and the first picture, they decide if they close or not your work. And so 6 months of work on your portfolio ends up in the trash bin in 2 seconds. Action Gamer Zero, what was your question? I'm sorry, I'm not able to read through 200 plus comments. Feel free to rewrite your comment or your question, and I will have a read at it. But there's no need to complain. I'm a stupid person handling a stream, being very bad with technology, so I apologize in advance if I'm not reading everything. And I said at the beginning, if I skip your thing, feel free to repeat yourself. But yeah, that's the sentiment. Okay, a map, iteration, props, 3D friendly, interior design, very good. She knows how to do that. Tons of props, storytelling, very good. Cats, a lot of storytelling and life everywhere. Iteration, she knows how to draw in perspective. Props, another rendering, layout, illustrations, architecture, statues with a lot of pose and storytelling. She's almost able to do characters, at least just based on the statues. And I know now that she has been doing some characters. Props, oh, not just props, dioramas, that's great. Modular kit for marketplace, perfect. And if everything is oriented towards production. Yeah, I think Action Gamer, I'm just scrolling through everything and I cannot find your comment, so I think it didn't go through. Maybe it was a bit too long or something like that. Yeah, just type it again. I promise I will read it, no problem. So, yeah, then a boat. Look at how complex this is. You are flexing your drawing skill, your perspective skill, your layout skills. This picture alone has so much value. If you had to give a score in terms of value to everything, this would be worth like 20 keyframes. Easily. And the final nail on the coffin, you have the outside and the inside of the boat, which is even more complex. Look at how much skills you are flexing, how much design skills and abilities, and how production friendly and how much storytelling you think about. Look at how polished it is. There's no way you can show all of that in a keyframe. Let's say you have a camera from there, you will not see what's up top. You need 2 shots. Right there, you have one thing, and the 3D thing can model everything. Work in progress illustration. I just gave you feedback just before the stream on that. Some props. I saw you changed a few stuff in the presentation. Soldiers and the Trojan horse, of course, and then some older work. It's showing? No. Maybe either your question was too long, or maybe there is a word that is not accepted by YouTube. I did not set up anything, so I don't know. Maybe there is a link. I think except the mods, you cannot put link in it. Try to put it in several messages if you want, or if you are on Discord. Send me a DM on Discord right now if you want. Send me a DM on Discord. I'm going to have a look at that. Let me check the comment. Should we create come up with coherent story? Okay, I'm going to get back. Is it essentially the same thing to focus on for creature design, or there's slight difference? Jess answered that. I remember seeing her work and Unchosen. Still, is that something? I remember seeing her work and the Unchosen design were very rendered still. Is that something you do after for presentation purpose? Yes. Yeah. We still curate the portfolio. There was way more propses and such that were done, and we just picked the best, and we still make everything consistent in terms of style for the sake of presentation. Even though if it didn't make it through, it's just to show you can iterate and that you are okay with abandoning some of your design during the process. Is it okay to sketch in 3D? We talked about that. Notice that some people's portfolio, they were drawing fan art first and then they were actually working on this project. Is it some kind of unprecedented luck or can it really work? Fan art, the way I see it, it's good for visibility. I don't think for a portfolio it's good unless you're going to aim at companies that are extremely standardized like League of Legends. But still, I'm not the biggest fan of fan arts because you're working in someone else's creative footprints. I will do fan arts outside of the portfolio, still on your Artstation, but not in a portfolio when you apply. I know that some companies like Blizzard or Riot, they like to have maybe 1 or 2 fan art on one of their characters, especially for like splash art or something like that. But again, right there, we are talking senior work, okay? Not junior. As a junior, I would not do fan art. Instead of doing a fan art of, I don't know, Poppy from League of Legends, I'm very bad with the characters of League of Legends, I'm not playing the game. I will design a new character that could be part of a certain faction of League of Legends, like part of Piltover or Demacia or I don't know the other things, but something like this potentially. But most likely I will pick my own IP, my own subject in the style of League of Legends. This way you are not surfing on their IP, you are still bringing what you like, but you show you could do what they do because it's in the style of. Right there, you see it's kind of in the style of Assassin's Creed. It's still Alex subject. So that's my answer on fan art. Next. I'm struggling. I have a small monitor today and I have a lot of things to check. I'm working on a scene right now. I don't know if it's the right path, if it's nonsense time consume. A scene right now, I'm working on modular pieces. Yeah, modular pieces is great. Feel free to design them and make sure you design a modular kit kind of similar to the marketplace that Alex did. Let's go down. I remember seeing a walk. We talked about that. Creature anatomy, just talked about that. Should we create comet with one coherent story based on which we will create, for example, all the characters? My formula, very simple. I made tons of memes about that recently. Let me show you the future memes that you're going to see. If you follow me on LinkedIn, your biggest meme factory on LinkedIn. Nope. My portfolio subject is so complex I added 70 pages of lore to help understand it. The application reviewer will read it for sure. Nope. What I say to students is generally, there's another one, where is it? Yeah, super personal project, 153 pages of lore, branching backstory, makes its own language, crazy world building with rules, genealogical tree for every family's, no job, picks a simple famous story, one big twist in it, design school shit, gets hired. That's the way I like it. I like to pick an existing story or existing historical period or something like that. Like I'm going to give you examples and add one twist to it that creates problem that you need to solve, that changes the rule. One example is from my boy Ryan. If you are there, shout out to you, buddy. Who picked French Revolution, but instead of gunpowder, you have magic. During French Revolution, gunpowder was prohibited for the commoners, and they took the Bastille to seize the firearms weapon and start the revolution. Right there, the settings is, instead of gunpowder, it's magic, which is Basically, the commoners are forbidden to use magic. Everyone could learn magic. Only the clergy and the nobles and the guards can use magic. You have some magic schools kind of similar to Harry Potter. And the French Revolution happens when they unleash the magic for everyone. And he's making a magic school around that. That's pretty fun. Another one, you pick, I don't know, you pick Sarah's portfolio, Robin Hood in D&D. Instead of having Robin Hood being a human, it's a tiefling. Boom. Interesting. You can pick a trope that is very simple, like elves. Instead of doing elves in the forest, why not about elves in lava, in a volcano? Worshipping a phoenix, having different materials than wood and plants that can resist the fire. That would be interesting already. Just adding one twist. You pick something grounded and you add one sprinkle of madness. This is exactly what Feng Shui is explaining. And Josh in the chat is saying the 90-10 rule. This is exactly that. 90% grounded. I tend to say 80% grounded. Let's be a bit more crazy. And 10 to 20% madness. In the mentorship, we have that meme of sprinkling cocaine on the subject. Or Slavic elves, exactly. I mean, Jess, that's literally your portfolio. You picked something like The Witcher. Instead of being it in Poland, it's like in your hometown with the Croatian mythology. Very smart. And I like subject that speaks about you, that you like to nerd about. And generally, when you talk about your own culture and what marked you when you were a kid, that's where you deliver the best things, generally. Jess, can I share some of your portfolio live to illustrate that? What you dropped on the Google Drive? I will do some live portfolio reviews eventually. No problem. Just a quick shout out while I'm waiting for Jess' answer. Thank you, Jess. There's a link down below. It's written at the bottom left of the screen. The artnest.academy/portfolio guide is probably also in the comment of that live right now. For those who are close to junior level, and go watch the video, everyone, on how to make the portfolio, because it's going to summarize a lot of things that I said. And you can book an audit with me if you are interested in joining the mentorship. And during that audit, we're going to have a look at your work and give you a personal strategy that it would be what we will do for you in the mentorship. It's not a charity portfolio review. I need to open up consultation at some point. It's just that I don't have the time now. But I would like to open a few sockets for consultation and personal portfolio reviews. But this is just to audit your work and see if you would be a good fit for the mentorship, and you will get still a bit of feedback. It's not charity. I'm cherry picking the people. And I'm considering that it's people interested for the mentorship. I mean, it's just at the same time we're talking about your work. But yeah, story and cartoony style, pick whatever you want. The style is completely irrelevant. Everything I'm talking about in most of the live session is completely style agnostic. So you can pick whatever subject you want. The subject of Jess that I'm going to grab, let me grab it. Google Drive. Here we go. My Drive, Archive, Characters, Chess. That subject could be cartoony or realistic. No problem. You can clearly see the Slavic and Croatian influence, especially with the colors. But at the same time, it's kind of in the style of The Witcher. I don't want to jinx it, but Chess made great impressions recently. Again, let's dive into the psychology of a reviewer. We see that, okay, character designer, that's the main character. We have a bit of story. I will highlight a few keywords. Okay, she understands production immediately. Turn around and removing the clothing plus injuries. It's not that obvious. I will make it a bit more drastic, but at least she understands production immediately. That character is production friendly. Next. Oh, she knows how to make costume design and iteration and drastic one. There's nothing redundant. It's almost like some different skins. Like it will be like level 1 gear, level 15 gear when you are in the winter area, then level 30 gear and level 100 gear when you are facing the big boss. Iterations on the main character, more dynamic poses, a horse that good, NPCs. Again, with a strong theme, problem solving. It's a fisherman. How does he fish? He fishes with that seagull. He has a nest, he has fish, he has everything he needs. You have references about the Croatian culture. Props. I see a fact of Croatian. I'm going to read through them, no worries. A monster, dynamic poses and iteration. And you see, there's nothing redundant. There's not even twice the same pose. Everything is brand new. You're surprised all the time. And see, once you have rendered a few stuff, you can just show sketches. That old stuff, I don't know if it should still fit in your portfolio, Jess, but that's old stuff and it's mentioned old stuff right there. So I'm assuming it's not in your most recent portfolio. But that's pretty much it. So the subject, whatever you want. All right, back to the questions. Do you have an idea for storing cartoony style? We talked about that. Makes sense. How would you adopt those three questions to 3D artist prop environment portfolio? Do you understand production? Is your production in 3D with a right topology, animation friendly, UV friendly, and optimized? That's the first thing. Second thing, can you match the style of the production and can you optimize your stuff so it's not too heavy? And final one, just your technical abilities in 3D. That's the way I would translate that. Pretty much the same principle. Are you production friendly? Do you fit the pipeline? This is a lot of work for one Artstation. So I wonder how many you need in your portfolio. Let's look at Alex. She has like 2 chapters. It could be a third one. You don't need much more than that. This on Artstation will be like 3 different posts. And I always advise people to post big bulk of work, not just one picture. It's useless on Artstation. You want to get followers? Okay, publish fancy keyframes, it's not going to get jobs. You want jobs? You won't get followers and likes on Artstation. You won't get that many at least. But post a big bulk. Let's look at Alex, her portfolio. 640 likes. Pretty good. You look at Gail, another mentee, has posted one thing, 688 likes by posting a big bulk right there. You get a fuck ton of views and very qualified views with that. Let's pick Michael. I think he's around 1,000 now. Can someone just drop him a like so we can get to 1,000? He's at 999 right now. Someone drop a like to Michael immediately. Let me share the link in the comment. Someone drop a like, please. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Next question. Yeah, and as someone say, people get hired after the artist with just one chapter or two of their portfolio. So that's good. When you demoed Alex's portfolio, you say that the ship she created particularly is adding a ton of value. What would be the equivalent of a character portfolio? I would say boss design, a big creature, a big menace. You pick any big boss design like Ornstein and Smaug, for example. Let's imagine you make a boss duo like this with their attacks and things like that. Amazing. You pick Gaius, a big menace like this, like a boss material. That would be amazing. To me, that would be a good equivalent, like a mounted character. There was Maria who shared some dog riders recently. Yeah, that's it. Next, you can do a ship for characters, I think, as well. If you want, you can do a vehicle. A vehicle for character would be great. Question best is to join the Discord to stay tuned for future portfolio review opportunities. Yeah. Can you support us the work in Discord to get feedback? Yes, exactly. Thank you, Josh, for the info. When you get feedback, I'm starting to policing people a bit in the public part. When you require feedback, always mention what you want feedback about. Do not say just feedback, please. And this is not just for my Discord, this is for everyone's Discord. Every time you want to require feedback on public spaces, do not say feedback, please. Try to say, hey, I'm trying to achieve this. I'm struggling on that. Can you help me on that, please? This way you help them to help you. County of Monte Cristo. This will be your project, Alex. How much time should we spend on a project? I was told that we have to be very efficient. Whew, oh boy. A full chapter of your portfolio. So let me reopen Obsidian. So. So, a full chapter of your portfolio. Let me just reopen the thing. All right. So, a full chapter of your portfolio, so something like this, from start to finish, I would say between 150 to 200 hours of work. That's the time you're going to have in a studio. If it was just the final picture, sure, you might just have to spend like 2 days on it. But you can do it because you have done everything else before and you know exactly how it looks. All of that, I would say at least 150 hours. If it was a full-time job, it would be 4 weeks. Maybe 5 for a junior. There's no way you do that in 2 days. Everyone is focusing on speed. I know that for keyframes, the things we see on Artstation all the time, it's like, yeah, I made it in a day. Yeah, because there's zero design in it. Just keep bashing. It's easy. Keyframe, it's the easy stuff. Polish render, it's the easy stuff. The hard stuff where you're going to spend a metric ton of time, it's not there, and it's there. That's where you want to spend time. Some studios, they spend 1 week just on the brainstorming and discussing with the client. So yeah. You don't need to stress yourself and rush everything. And generally, the quality of your rendering is directly correlated with how much time you spend on it. When we got the first render from Chloe on that orc, it was not that great. We asked her, hey, how much time did you spend on it? She told us like, I don't know, like 8 hours. We're like, okay, you're going to spend 50 hours on it. We're going to focus on the design. And we arrived on this. I think it's worth it. And generally what separates you from good render is just spending more time on it. You should not hesitate to do that for portfolio. In production, you will cut corners in production. But for portfolio, it needs to be as good as possible because this is the only shot that you have at getting your job. More questions. A quick review of my portfolio. Don't go in details. I will do a session where I do live portfolio reviews. But if I do your review live, I need to do it for everyone else. So we will organize that eventually. Would you suggest someone from former mentees do mentorship? I don't understand your question, Burns. Would you suggest would someone from former mentees do mentorship? Would the former mentee mentor you? Is that the question? Feel free to ask for feedback. Most of them, they are happy to help. And eventually I'm going to hire some former mentees once they get a job and they are seasoned professional to help me with the feedback for sure. But Burns, if you want to reformulate your question, it's a bit confusing the way it's written right now. What is the best way to look for suitable art or gaming studios that are hiring? I rarely see open concept art position unless they come from inside recommendations. Okay. Again, this could be the subject for another live session. Sorry, I'm just timestamping the things at the same time. So, how do you find studios that are hiring? You have several options. Job offers, that might be an option. But the way I'm doing it with the students is that we are stacking the odds. You're going to answer to job offer if they have any, but you are also going to cold email them. And you're also going to go at industry events because that's the best way to find a job and to get in touch with companies. And you're also going to network with pros. If you solely rely on job offers, every time there is a job offer at the moment on LinkedIn, 6 hours later, there are 300 applicants. It's going to be very hard to stand out. If you do only cold email, for cold email to succeed, you need two things. You need one, to be patient, because if you cold email them, it means that they don't have a job open for you now. So you need to be patient. And two, you need extremely relevant and targeted work that match what they do to the point that they want to remember about you because they know you could do it. This way, when they open the job, they don't have to review for 300 or 500 applications that are going to waste them time. Actually, you do both because both of them, they are odds that you will stack. You say nowadays, startup companies are asking to 3 to 4 years of experience. This is another thing that I explained to the mentees. Imagine Ubisoft or Blizzard or Riot saying, hey, we are opening a job, junior, 0 experience required. According to you, what is going to happen? They are going to get thousands, if not dozens of thousands of applications from absolutely unqualified people. And they're going to waste an absurdly high amount of time trying to review through that. And 99.999% of people won't be qualified. So they are requiring 3 to 4 years of experience as a way to disqualify. This way, the only people who apply, they have either that experience already, or else they are bold enough to apply regardless. At least it filters all the students. My first job at Ubisoft was requiring 3 years of experience. I had 0. That's exactly what they told me. When I asked them, why did you hire me while requiring 3 years of experience? I had 0. They told me, because otherwise we would get all the students from Europe swarming us and we would not be able to hire anyone. So we are doing that to filter out all the amateurs, all the students. It's not going to be perfect. You're still going to have some people that are a bit delusional about what is required. But yeah, it's a filtering out method because they are in an abundance of applicants. And it's something I want all of you to understand very well. Everyone is saying, oh my God, the market is saturated. It's not. At least on the aspiring level, on the junior level, it's not saturated. It's saturated by what? By people who don't understand exactly what we are teaching you live since last week. We're just doing keyframe and they are not production friendly. Anyone who is not production friendly, they are not your competition. They are not saturating the market. They will not go through the first interview anyway. They will get rejected instantly. This is not your competition. And to be extremely Machiavellian, those people that are getting reviewers to roll their eyes and to be like, oh shit, another one who doesn't understand what is necessary and who are getting them to quote unquote waste time. No disrespect to those people. They are learning. That's fine. Join the Artness, by the way, if you are in that situation. Those people, when you are doing what is required in production, those people who are not doing what is required, they are helping you. They are helping you to stand out positively and to be a breath of fresh air to the reviewer when they stumble upon your work. Imagine they get 300 applications, 295 before, it was only keyframe and Last of Us 2 fan art, and then they stumble upon this first page. They're like, oh my God, finally someone who gets it. It's such a relief. So that pseudo-concurrence, pseudo-saturating the market, they are helping you if you do what is required. I went a bit on a tangent on that answer. That's extremely cynical. It's going to be a very polarizing clip. But that's how it works. They are in an abundance of options. They can be picky and they will not lower their standards. So that's what I say to all the mentees. You do your research. We're going to have a dedicated video about that, a dedicated live on how to do your research. But any company with a precedent of having hired people with up to 3 years of experience, consider that as junior friendly. That's my answer. Next. Is it good to have different art style on your portfolio? As long as you show you understand the pipeline, is it a bad look or not? It's going to depend on how proficient you are at both of those styles. The way I do with my mentees is we worked on the first portfolio, 3 chapters generally, and then we move to another portfolio that's going to complement the first one. Either same style and different subject, or as different subject and slightly different style. But you need to be equally proficient at both, because you are only as good as your worst pieces. And your worst pieces, it's going to be what the reviewer will think you will produce on your bad days. So you are tired, you are sick, you are not inspired, you're 1 week away from vacation, you got a bad news. They know that the creativity process is not stable, but still your worst piece, what you will be producing on your bad days, it needs to be above their expectations. So you are only as good as your worst pieces in your portfolio. That's why if you want to have a different style, you need to make sure it's equally as good as your previous work. Otherwise, it's going to tank your portfolio. Next question. Your environment, props, and character in your concept art portfolio, should they all be from the same universe, or is it okay to have them unrelated to each other? I would get them to be consistent to prove you can design consistent stuff. Tim speaks about industry course, if you're in that style, okay. Is it good to focus on vehicle modeling for games and films? Real cars and real cars. Yeah, for 3D, yes. That's, I mean, I'm not saying it's good or not, but it's definitely viable. Don't have experience, have to work, but need experience for job. Okay, we talked about that. Apply anyways, it costs nothing. And the only difference between junior and mid-level is just the quality of your work. It's not your experience. It's only when you are a senior that experience is important because you are expected to mentor newcomer artists. So you need to have experienced the full production pipeline and process and cycle. But before senior level, nobody gives a shit. All that matters is your work. Can I get a job in US from Iran, remote or sponsorship? That's something I say to my mentees. Check out what your visa allows you to do. And for the US, it's very hard to access the US for work without sponsorship. Sponsorship, unless you're a senior in the US, is going to cost a fortune because they need to pay a green card. I think a green card is between $300K and $500,000. So they better be sure that you're very good and generally you move with your family. So it might be even more expensive. So if you want to work for the US, check out either remote jobs or freelance jobs. It's not a fatality because once you get experience, it's more accessible. And the best way to do that is to have a strong online social media presence. And you can also check the video from Leo Avro. Leo YouTube. Avro YouTube. Not that one. Getting into the industry while living in a shit country. I'm sorry for the title. That's what Leo does. He's very blunt. Look at that video. It's going to explain to you how to do it. It's not a fatality. It's just an extra feature that you need to take into consideration. Is it good to focus on vehicle modeling? We talked about that. How can we get experience without getting a job? That's what I was explaining. Experience, nobody gives a shit. You get experience by showing you understand the design process. This is how you show experience. Up to 4 years of experience, that's how you do it. We got some precedents in the mentorship, even for myself, even with students that I know outside of the mentorship, who got hired mid-level straight out of school, just because their work was very targeted. This girl's name is Tim the Artist. You have the link. If you are on the Discord, I'm the only person with a white name. My name on the Discord is Tim, and I have a black cat profile picture. Just checking the announcement. I'm spamming the announcement all the time. You're going to pick my profile right there. What are the habits to have to stay motivated and not be discouraged easily when doing portfolio? Very easy. Doing it with other people. It's like when you go to the gym, it's always easier to go to the gym by just sticking to someone who is in the habit of doing that. So quick shout out. You join the Discord. There is a wonderful set of channels called the Grindset 9000 and the library. And there are people connected every day there. Just go there. You will attract people. You will spark the habit of working together. They will kick each other in the butt. They will hold you accountable. And this is how you get shit done. If you struggle, you ask them questions, and you get some buddies, and you start networking with some artists who want to do the same thing. And some of them are already pros. That's how I did when I dropped out of school. and I was in Anthony Jones' Discord when it was still a thing. I was spending between 11 and 14 hours a day connected. Even when I was alone, I was sharing my screen and people would join all day long. It was motivating me to keep walking. Ape together, ape stronger. You know, that's the idea. And in an ideal world, by the end of the year, I would like to see at least one person connected on the Discord 24/7. I really want to spark that habit of working together, folks. This is how you are getting shit done. I explained that in the mentorship 60,000 billion times. The students who get the most shit done, they are the most involved in the community. You look at Jess, you look at Lachlan, you look at Gail, you look at Chloe, you look at Alex, you look at Josh. They are always constantly involved with the community. Is it a good idea to reapply to the same studio after adding new pieces in a portfolio? Yes. Yes. Oh, hello, Alyssa. Hope you are doing well. I'm very eager to see your new work. Alyssa did an incredible before and after. Absolutely incredible. It clicked immediately after watching one video. It was crazy. Can you show us an example of set dressing concept based on a level blockout? Let me check. It will be something like this. This right there is a great example, for example, like map design. You probably have the blockout and you just have to polish it. Something like that, if you want to be a bit more polished, it's great. Yeah, those are great examples, I think. Anything seen a bit from above tends to be great. Something like this would be great. It's more a call-out sheet and a layout for a building. Yeah, what I was showing you before is totally fine. Check out the map design and the map concept art for like Overwatch and things like that. This is going to be a great example. We don't really do that much level design block mesh painting in the mentorship. That's something I need to add. It's not mandatory. That's fine. At least in a portfolio. In production, you will do it, but portfolio, whatever. All right, next question. So the completion of the portfolio project is way longer than the mentorship. Yes, but the way we do it in the mentorship, you can check that link. Academy/mentorship. So watch that video. It's the link that is down below. You can click here and you have the informations. And the way it works is that it's in 3 different steps. Before you join, you get a preparatory module before you start. To get you in the right mindset and get you super ready, there are exercises. I'm talking about the design principles, the design process, as I told you before today, and also about the state of the industry and how to understand the industry. I'm giving you 90% of the theory before we start. Then we have 5 weeks of mentorship. Every week you unlock a new module with tons of videos, tons of homework, and demos and such. There's not too much homework, that's fine. Tons of documents to help you with the homework. We have 2 group sessions per week. That's a total of 10 group sessions. And you can expect around 30 minutes of attention per student if you do your homework properly. Roughly 15 minutes to review your work, and then 15 minutes to answer all your questions. Once we are done with the 5 weeks of mentorship, it's time to build the portfolio. We start building the portfolio on week 3. We start working on the portfolio on week 3. We start drawing on week 4. the feedback and guidance, as I said, for those who are allowed in the mentorship, I work with them for as long as they do the work until they get a job. What does that mean? I mean that it means that for the first piece of the first chapter of your portfolio, I will re-spoon-fed you the feedback, and gradually after, the goal is to get you to be autonomous. How it works? Let me show you that. Massive advertising right now. I love it. Is that everyone creates their own channel, and you see you have some small tags like I need feedback right there. So every time you need feedback, you have that tag. I'm checking your work, and I'm giving you a video feedback like your personal art director. Something I tend to do more and more is that the community also does feedback section together. We have a bot running with collective feedback session. This way you don't have to rely solely on me, and it's important to expose yourself to other types of feedback. So first piece, as I was saying, the first chapter, I'm really spoon-feeding you. Then I'm acting more and more gradually like an art director, checking every step of the process. Just like in production, if you need something checked, I'm checking the macro, the design, the storytelling, making sure the quality is good, but you have the formula to do it. So you need less feedback from me, but you can still access that, of course. And for the former mentees, you get a lot of help too. I'm also helping people when they start applying, if they get positive answer, to prepare interviews, to check how much money they can get, and to help them on the whole application process for as long as it doesn't break an NDA. So pretty much everything except artist. We can do mock interview, we can do interview simulation, we can do research together. My goal is to help you get fucking results. That's pretty much it. Next question. I'm going to stop in like 10 minutes before my girlfriend comes back home. So yeah, the portfolio project is taking longer than the mentorship, but you stay in the community. And the community, you can ask the former mentees in the chat, they are fucking active. We are a big family. We even got a map to know where everyone is, so we can network together. We are going to industry events together. We are hanging out together nonstop. The mentorship is my life now. I'm spending all my time on the mentorship. I have a few freelance gigs sometimes, but my full-time job is the mentorship now. It's good because it's not technique focused. So I'm already rusty because I'm an art director, but I know how production works, and it's the same principle than it was 15 years ago. And because we are not talking about technique, no problem about that. Here we go. Just 1 year is enough to start our career. Technically, yes. You need to still go through the interviews and potential artists, and it's going to be the subject of further lives. We're going to cover everything. Just be patient. It's just the second live, folks. There's going to be plenty of that, and it's going to be an incredible archive of value eventually. Are there restricted VCs, mentees exclusive? No, there is a public part. There is a mentee exclusive part, of course. But this part with the little owls, as a public person, you don't see that. This is your mentorship playground. But right at Grindset 9000, you see there's a fuck ton of people. Feel free to join them. Go look at the work of Alisa. She's a mentee, former mentee, and her improvement has been incredible. Alisa, former mentee, Axel P, former mentee, Christos, current mentee, Romik, current mentee. Feel free to join. And come here every day, guys. Build a habit. That's how you get shit done. Here we go. How much for the mentorship? For now, the mentorship, the next class starts on November 2nd. The current price is 1,500 euros for everything. And you can pay in up to 3 times. Discord link says expired. Let me share another one in that case. What if never expire? Here we go. Here is the link again. So it's 1,500, and it's probably going to go a bit higher by 2025 because the demand is going exponential. I'm getting between 15 and 40 demands a week. I'm getting into call with like 5 or 6 person per week maximum. So yeah, I'm being extremely picky with who I'm working with in the mentorship, and just even with who I'm getting in a call, because I need to protect my time. I'm already working so fucking hard on it. I wish I could take more people, but I just don't have the time. When you start portfolio live review streaming, in a few weeks. Next week we're going to talk about design and brainstorming. I'm going to do brainstorm demos and show you how it works. To answer the question of Milim, we will also do the Artnest Academy Awards, because it's soon going to be the 1 year of the official release of the Discord. And I want to make an awards about the mentees and show the before and after. So feel free to join. It's going to be great, because you're going to see the behind the scene of the mentorship and the before and after. And we're going to see the full progressions of several mentees. So you're going to see their work before they join, after they join, when they were leveling up. It's going to be super interesting, because there's a lot of stuff to learn from that. Could review my portfolio. I'm going to do some live portfolios, but right now my time is limited. So the consultation I make, I don't even make at the moment some consultation. They will be paid. I'm sorry, I just don't have the time right now. If you want a portfolio review, send me a DM, we can talk about that. But I need to protect my time. At some point, I promise in a few weeks, I'm going to do a live portfolio review session. It will be free for those that I select. But send your portfolio already in the Discord. Some people will review it for you and help you. I'm not the biggest expert about 3D though. I'm really focused on concept art. I've been art directing 3D animation and everything, but I want to heavily focus on concept art. I apologize. But most of the content you can get on the Discord, you can apply it to 3D. I have to focus on one thing, or can I learn something else? You can be a 3D generalist. It's way easier. Is this stream gonna stay recorded? I want to revisit it later. Unfortunately, as I said in the emails and everywhere, as soon as the stream is done, it's done. There's no replay. Because I'm spilling the beans about the mentorship, I'm spilling a lot of things that are exclusive to the mentees. I don't want to squander their investment. I want it to be a window of opportunity for people to get uncensored knowledge. And you know, folks, I'm thriving a lot. I'm showing some artist work, and sometimes I'm not bashing them, but I'm saying, yeah, it's not production friendly. I don't want it to be misinterpreted as something mean. It's not the intention. But I don't want to leave that, because I know I'm very blunt, and I don't want it to be taken out of context. So that's the thing. Eventually, at some point, I will make a package of the replay of all of that, but not now, later. That's it. Is this stream going to stay? It's not going to stay. I have interest in vehicle modeling, environment modeling, character animation. Go into Discord and ask Marnix. Marnix, this guy, former mentees, is working on Stellaris now. Former mentees, specialized in hard surface, is going to be able to answer your question way better than me. Sounds good? All right. So, I hope that session was useful. Final quick shout out. We are having a free course, which is replacing an art school, giving you a full curriculum to learn the technique. The Artnest.academy/free course. Let me send you the link. So if you want to join, it's free. And normally when you join the Discord, the bot is harpooning you with a link towards that. If you are close to junior level or above it, including a pro who want to get higher in your career, this is for you. The Artnest.academy/portfolio guide. Watch that video. It's also included in the free course. You can book a call right there. Just have a Calendly. You book it. Then you will be receiving another video to explain you the full content of the mentorship. And if you are accepted in a call, let's talk about you. And let's see if we can get you in the mentorship. I hope that was useful. See you next week. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. hit the bell and all the bullshit that the YouTubers are saying all the fucking time. Feel free to watch the other videos of the YouTube channel. I'm going to post clips from the mentorship pretty soon. I'm going to edit them that weekend. Subscribe to me on LinkedIn if you want for your daily dose of memes. Timothy Matten, let me send you the link. For your daily dose of memes. I love that formula of being super incisive with the meme, but giving a lot of value in the post. Seems to be working pretty well. I'm not going to end anytime soon. I'm planning on doing some podcasts with big artists, probably towards November. So it will be on the YouTube channel. It will stay. Tons of good stuff coming. Join the Discord. Feel free to share the links to all the artists you know around you who might benefit from that. Because my goal with those streams and with the YouTube channel and the Discord is to share as much things for free that normally people will have to pay for. So share the video, share the portfolio link guy. If you know some friends who are trying to join the industry, who are searching for a community, feel free to do a bit of advertising. That's the best way to help my work. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for likes. Actually, given how incisive I am on LinkedIn, I'm clearly not searching for likes and to be appreciated. I want to help people get fucking jobs. I want to build an army of very motivated and good artists. That's what we are doing with the artists. We are building fucking savages. So yeah, feel free to join the movement. And yeah, feel free to share it to everyone you know that might benefit from it. We are very benevolent. See you next week, folks, next Friday. And by getting the free course, you also subscribe to my newsletter. I'm not going to spam you, I promise. I'm never spamming you. I'm not selling your data. You're going to get helpful informations. All right. See you soon, folks. Take care.